Well, welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Rachel and I are so excited that you're on this call, ready to learn about this revolutionary phototherapy technology that we were introduced to about 10 months ago now. I am Beth Blackmore. I'm a health and empowerment coach, having gone through my own health journey that started 6 years ago, exactly in March. When I started making significant changes with my food choices, my lifestyle habits, resulting in a 60-pound weight loss. And so little did I know at the time that this was really the beginning of my conscious awakening. I ended up walking away from my government career in HR, my government pension, due to the lack of medical freedom to pursue my passion in helping people to take control of their health. So I consider myself a lifelong learner, open to new information, embracing change. And so about a year ago, my friend and co-host Rachel introduced me to the whole realm of quantum biology, circadian rhythm, really harnessing the power of light. So waking up with the sun, eating shortly after waking. And I feel that embracing the power of light is this next phase of my health journey and this constant evolution. So Rachel also showed interest in learning more about this phototherapy patch last May. And so I knew that I needed to take a closer look. So I invited Rachel on a call with my friend Diane Hunt, who's unfortunately not on the call today, but I will be sharing a little bit about her powerful testimonial a little later. But we were basically blown away by the information that you're about to hear about this technology, the company LifeWave, and the life-changing testimonials. So Rachel and I signed up almost immediately. We put our first order in and we did what any good daughter would do. We patched our moms. So my mom, who had been experiencing knee pain for years, noticed significant relief in just a few days. Her physiotherapist was wondering what she was doing differently because she noticed increased mobility, less inflammation. She asked her what she was taking, what she was doing, and she said the only thing that had changed was this light patch that her daughter put on her. And so not only did her knee pain improve, but she also started experiencing deeper sleep, more energy and stamina. She was able to return to her favorite activities like walking and gardening and swimming. For me, the benefits have been life-changing as well. The first thing I noticed was finally being able to sleep through the night, having vivid dreams, which is unheard of for me. I used to have this lower back pain, this compression issue that I dealt with for years, going to Cairo every couple of weeks. And within a week or two of patching, I have no longer experienced this lower back pain. My energy, my mental clarity have improved, which is helping me keep up with everything on my plate. But what truly fires me up is that I know that the best is yet to come. My body is healing and repairing and age reversing, as you will soon discover. There's also an incredibly exciting financial opportunity with the trajectory of this company. So more on that a little bit later. But before we dive into the formal part of this presentation, I'd love to invite Rachel to introduce yourself and share your powerful journey with everyone.
Thanks, Beth. Hi, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend it with us and learn more about this incredible technology. So my name is Rachel Maurice, and I worked as an anesthesiologist in Canada for close to 20 years. I left in 2021, so just over 3.5 years ago. And since that time period, I have been doing a lot of research and unlearning and relearning all about what it means to be healthy, because what I was taught in my conventional training basically was how to manage diseases and stave off deterioration, or at least slow the progression of it. We didn't actually learn anything about how health is manifested in the body. So I started learning about that through, I would say, serendipitous connections. And what it boiled down to was not that things that I had learned were incorrect, but there were a lot of things missing. And the biggest part of that was to do with light, and light actually controlling everything, every single function and process in the body, and is the most upstream signal. So that's always where we want to make changes, is in the most upstream signal for them to have an effect, and a long lasting effect. And so I began diving into all things light and all things about cellular health. And one of my favorite things had to do with phototherapy. So obviously, if we're changing our light environment, and this is where I was introduced to the patches. It took me about a year to actually investigate, because I thought they were just some other red light panel, which is a question I get all the time. They are nothing like a red light panel. They're very different. And we're going to go through that here. But I just wanted to say that since it was very timely that I was introduced to these patches because my mom's health started to deteriorate significantly faster than it already was. And her doctors were talking about heart surgery. And as Beth said about Diane Hunt, the connection that was made, Beth brought Diane into my life. And Diane was a cardiac surgical nurse for 20 years and spoke the same language, saw the same things. I understood what she understood, and she started sharing stories that I have never heard in my entire 30-year career in medicine. Not just stories, but also investigations of changes with the heart that uh, there was no second thought for me to get started with my mom as well as myself on these patches. And that's how I started with this. So I will share more about what happened with my mom after the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. So I am going to share my screen now, and if you can give me a thumbs up once you can see. Okay, awesome. Perfect. All right. So my question for you is, who is ready to learn how to activate your body's own healing with the power of the patch? And this isn't just any patch. What makes this patch so unique is that it supports your body's natural healing ability by using your own light. So a little disclaimer here up front that the LifeWave products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or medical condition. This is not a medical device that requires FDA approval. This patch is actually FDA recognized as a general wellness product. And so everything that we'll be discussing will really focus on general wellness, addressing symptoms and experiences rather than specific diseases. So, talking about those symptoms and what you may be feeling, are you feeling like you are lacking energy and struggling to keep active? Are you feeling older and frustrated that your mind, your body are not functioning like they once did? Does it feel like you've hit a wall and it's all downhill from here? Maybe you have some inflammation, some mobility issues, pain that is slowing you down, preventing you from living your best life. Well, I want you to imagine for a second if you could feel more energized to do all that you need to do in life, all that you want to do in life. Imagine if you could have more mental clarity, you could think clearer, stay focused. Imagine if you could be more active, and not only that, but level up your physical game, build lean, strong muscles, recover faster from working out, exercise. What would it feel like to be in a more relaxed state? So better sleep, where you wake up in the same position that you fell asleep in. And on top of all that, who wouldn't want to age gracefully? Have smoother, more youthful skin, regrow your hair, get your natural hair color back, maybe no longer requiring your reading glasses. Imagine if you could reverse the aging process. So, something you may not be aware of, I certainly didn't, that as we age, the slower our bodies heal and repair, and it's due to the decrease in healthy stem cells. So, they actually go dormant. So, by the age of 30, healthy stem cells decrease by 60%. By 60 years old, those healthy stem cells decrease by a whopping 90%. And so, not only is the natural aging process contributing to our decline in health, but unfortunately, our modern living environment, with the constant exposure to toxins in the air, in the water, in the food, in the man-made synthetic radiation that's everywhere, this all leads to cellular dysfunction. And I have to admit that really I had no idea that what stem cells were about 8 months ago, but they are the baby cells that replace the old dying cells. They actually become your heart cells, your lung cells, your liver cells, your hair cells, and even your brain cells. And who doesn't need more brain cells these days? And sure, we know, stem cell therapy, right? Which is expensive. People need to travel to get it. It's not readily available. It's invasive. It's risky. And it's actually only about 50% effective. And it's not systemic, right? It stays local to the injection site. So this is where stem cell regeneration becomes exciting and why the phototherapy patch is such a powerful option. So activating healing with light or phototherapy is nothing new. We all know the sun is a form of phototherapy, signaling our bodies to make vitamin D, right? But photobiomodulation, say that 10 times fast, this is a type of phototherapy that uses specific wavelengths of light to stimulate cells that boost energy production, promotes healing, it reduces inflammation, improves blood flow, helps with tissue repair. Best of all, it's non-invasive, it's accessible, affordable, and risk-free. So what if I told you there was a product, one that uses this very technology of photobiomodulation? So basically using your body's own heat, which is a type of infrared light to increase a naturally occurring copper peptide found within the body. Well, that's exactly what the X39 patch does. So using our body's own infrared light, it stimulates the production of human, so our own GHKCU copper peptide. And this is known as the holy grail of age reversal. And now, this is not synthetic peptides, right? This is important. These are your own. So, this X39 patch, which happens to be the inventor David Schmidt's 39th invention, bumps up the production of GHKCU, which is this naturally occurring universal copper peptide that goes to work all over the body. And thanks to Lauren Picard, he is this PhD and researcher. We know the incredible benefits of this incredible copper peptide. He isolated it back in 1973. And so there's 50 years of research that can back it up. And you can actually find all kinds of studies on pubmed.gov, which is this online repository of scientific research. But some of the incredible benefits of GHKCU that we know, it stimulates blood vessel and nerve outgrowth. So think regeneration. It boosts collagen and elastin. And again, this is our own. So it's not an exogenous source. It has multiple anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, anti-pain, and even anti-cancer properties. It's capable of resetting over 4,000 genes in our genome, essentially resetting and repairing your DNA to a younger, healthier state. But here's the clincher. GHKCU reactivates dormant stem cells. So how does this little patch increase GHKCU? Well, now that you understand the power of the peptide, let me introduce you to the power of the patch. So LifeWave X39 is this small wearable phototherapy patch. You can see it here on my wrist. It's about the size of a quarter. Developed by David Schmidt, the founder of LifeWave. This patented product uses the process of photobiomodulation using your body's own infrared heat to activate this crystallized lattice. And this lattice structure is made up of organic materials, so amino acids, sugars, water, oxygen, and salt. And it acts like a mirror, reflecting specific light frequencies back into the body, signaling biological changes at the cellular level. So the patches are latex-free, non-transdermal. They contain no drugs, chemicals, or stimulants. So they're safe to use without interfering with any medications. So there are no contraindications because nothing is being absorbed into your skin, into your body. So I'm going to turn it over now to our resident light expert, Rachel, to walk us through the incredible benefits of the X39.
Thanks, Beth. So just before we get started on this part, I just want to reiterate here one thing that Beth said, and that is to do with light therapy, phototherapy, the names photobiomodulation. They all have to do with light stimulating different functions in our body. Now, what we haven't really ever been taught that, except I would want to highlight for you that you actually, in a sense, know this already, and it was touched on, but we know that we go outside in the summertime, spring, summer, fall, maybe, to get ultraviolet light. And that specific ultraviolet B light stimulates cells in our body to produce vitamin D. So that is a physiologic change. We also go outside and again, under UVB light and UVA, we get a tan. So that tan comes from specific cells in our body making and producing this chemical called melanin. And that signal comes from the sun. So the sun is actually the stimulus for all of these things that are in our body. And so phototherapy is nothing new. It's just kind of a modern thing that we have in our society because we spend more than 90% of our time indoors, and that has become a problem, which is why the royal we have come up with these technologies. David Schmidt has invented this. So for these patches, the X39, again, they reflect specific frequencies of light back into the body to cause all of these physiologic changes. And some of them include what's on the slide here, reducing inflammation and pain. So for those who are not aware, inflammation is actually the foundation at the fundamental level across the board in most chronic diseases. So imagine reducing all of that inflammation. Also, it helps with reducing pain. Now, the statistics, I think the last one I read was 30% of the population in the Western world deals with chronic back pain. That's not even just chronic pain, but chronic back pain. So imagine being able to reduce that pain, improve strength, stamina, and energy levels. Now, who doesn't want more energy? Who doesn't need more energy? I think everybody does. Improves muscle and bone density. And so this isn't just about athletic performance, but it does pertain to that. But everyone needs strength and bone density to be able to move about, even just to be able to walk and do the things that we want to in life. Improves mental clarity and reducing stress. I know for many people I speak with, mental clarity is a big one. Most people can probably relate to walking into a room for a reason and then forgetting why you're actually there, or just with memory issues. Reducing stress is also a big one. Stress is one of the biggest factors related to physical diseases. And we've had an inordinate amount of stress escalated in the last 5 years, which has had such an impact on everyone's lives. So reducing stress will have a major, major impact on our lives. Balancing hormones and easing anxiety. Again, this is kind of a time for me and a lot of people that I speak with in my age group with the changes in the hormone balances with midlife. And so those can really, again, have such profound effects in terms of impacting our lives, just balancing those hormones and easing anxiety, improving hair growth and skin appearance. Now, this is one that has to do with collagen and increasing collagen. Most of us do think about collagen to do with our aesthetics, hair, skin, nails, but really collagen is the most abundant protein in the body and does so much more. It's actually forming all of the infrastructure in our fascia, which helps support all of our organs. It supports our whole body. It actually goes right into each one of our cells as a little network of communication, because the way collagen is formed and structured is such that it has these little nanotubules of water within each one of them. And so we've got this quantum superhighway of a water network in our body, and light happens to travel through water in the body. So that is why it's so critical for the use and being hydrated when we use these patches. But that is where collagen fits in. We just see it with the hair growth and nails. It also promotes cellular repair and wound healing. And so we know we can see that, for example, when we cut our skin and the wound heals, that's a natural occurring mechanism. But that's also what's going on inside of our bodies we don't see. But all of these problems, they have to do with wounds. And it's at the cellular foundation that we repair. It improves sleep quality. Now, sleep is a really big one, although I hear so much around me, I'll sleep when I'm dead, which won't really matter. But sleep is like a mini hibernation for us. It's time where we actually do the repairs, all the energy that we don't expend during the day, moving about, using our gut, using our brains, using our muscles. All of that energy is focused in on doing the repairs that needs to take place, because during the day we use our body. And so there's wear and tear. We need to repair it. Just like a car you take in for maintenance and repairs, we need to do that with our body. So sleep is critical for that. So long-term results for these, as was mentioned, in the first few days, over 4,000 genes begin to reset. So what does that mean? It was explained to me because I was trying to explain it to someone else, and I thought this was a good analogy. It's kind of like when you're in a room and you've got dimmer switches for lighting and you're trying to get nice photography, and you've got to get the lighting really perfectly right so you get a nice photograph. When we age, we've got different genes. So the lighting may be brighter in one part of the room and a lot dimmer in the other. We want to get back to that balance where everything is just perfectly expressed. And so that's what it really means to have the genes reset. Now, 4,000 genes begin to reset. So not all 4,000 happen all at once. It happens over time, but we're not necessarily going to feel these genes resetting because we've got 100,000 reactions going on in our cells every second of the day. We don't feel that happening. So we're not necessarily going to feel this, but one of those genes happens to be the P63 gene, which increases stem cells. So all of the other genes have a whole host of effects in our body, some of which I listed in the previous slide. Within 6 weeks, the brain becomes more balanced. And what that means is the left side of the brain is actually talking with the right side of the brain and communicating. And therefore, they can synchronistically tell the rest of the body what it needs to do and when. So we want everything working in harmony. And in our modern world, most of the time, our right and left brain are not actually communicating properly. Within 3 months, collagen is increased, which I mentioned earlier. Within 6 months, the heart reverses in age. So this isn't just about the heart, it's about the whole cardiovascular system. So all of the blood vessels and everything involved with the heart. And I love what David Schmidt has to say. He calls this, or he says, this is not anti-aging, it's actually age reversal. So how do we wear this patch? This is one of the things that I really love. I mean, there's so many things, but this is one of the best things that I share with people because it's so simple, as Beth showed, and I've got one here on my hand, it's on my wrist. It's just the size of a quarter. And it's like a sticker. You take the backing off, you put it on your skin in the morning, you wear it for 12 hours, you take it off at night, and then you repeat the next day and you continue to repeat daily. Now you wear it for 12 hours during the day. And I am going to emphasize here during the day, probably over and over again, because despite that, people still tend to wear it at night. It increases energy. So it can cause people to stay awake at night or even have insomnia. I've had that happen with people. So again, during the day, and it's worn for 12 hours because just like we don't live under sunlight 24 hours a day, there's a stimulation with light. We want to give our body a rest at night. So we take it off. There's still a little bit of activity left in the patches. So what I personally do is I actually wrap it around my dog's collar and she gets the benefit of the last few hours that are left. But again, I do that the next day, not at night. Some people apparently put it in their plants. I've still yet to hear about how that's going. But again, like I said, you want to repeat that on a daily basis. And now, how long do we wear it for? That's one of the questions we get on a regular basis. Do I have to wear this for the rest of my life? So you can do whatever you like. It depends on your goal. The minimum required, I would say required time frame is 90 days. If you're going to do a trial of less than that, it's really not even worth getting started. 97% of people see an effect by 90 days. So the minimum should be 90 days, but really the recommended time is a month for every decade that you've been alive on the planet. So for myself, I'm 53, that would be a minimum of 6 months. Having said that, I am all about prevention. I have worked in the medical field in the hospital system for 30 years. From everything I have seen and what I now understand, I do not ever want to have to access that system unless I have to for an acute reason. So I would rather prevent things from happening. So this for me is my prevention strategy. So this is something that I'm going to continue to wear. We don't stop exercising once we've gotten things to a place where we like. We don't stop eating food once we're healthy. We don't stop drinking water. So for me, this is all about prevention. But everyone has their own goals. We want to drink plenty of water, as I touched on earlier, that collagen, forming that superhighway in the body of water. Light travels through water, so it's really important to make sure you're hydrated. If you're not, the patches actually don't work well. And I have now seen that with people where they're not drinking very much water, not seeing results, to going to drink, even with myself, drinking more water and starting to see more changes fairly quickly. But you want to make sure that the water has electrolytes in it. So you want to add electrolytes. It doesn't have to be electrolyte powders that you go buy. It can be salt, but it would have to be unrefined salt. So something like Himalayan, Redmond's real salt, Celtic sea salt, because it still has all of the minerals attached to it. The refined stuff that you find in table salt has had all of those minerals stripped from it, and it can cause imbalances. So remember, unrefined salts are good to add to the water. You want to make sure that you focus on getting copper-rich foods. And I recommend foods to start before going straight to a supplement, because it's just more bioavailable. But copper has really been stripped out of agriculture in the last 100 years. So in the early 1900s, we used to get about 4 to 6 milligrams a day in our diet without having to think about it. Now, with thinking about it, we're lucky if we get 1 milligram. So we really have to be cognizant and aware of choosing copper-rich foods. Now, I'll just go through some of them. This is not a comprehensive list, but at the top of the list, for those who like organ meats, yay, you're going to get lots of copper in your organ meats, and you get everything else too. And everything's bioavailable. So that's really what's nice about getting it from that source. If you don't like that, what I do with my kids is they actually get desiccated organ meat capsules. So it's still in that bioavailable state. But seafood, oysters, shellfish, for those who don't eat any of that, avocados are really good. Nuts, in particular, cashews are at the top of the list for that, but that doesn't mean go eat a whole bag of cashews. You just need a handful. And seeds like sunflower seeds, and probably everyone's favorite, a little square of dark chocolate. And again, one little square meets the requirements. It does not have to be the whole bar, but sometimes that is the way it is. Next slide. So, what to expect? This is also an interesting one. And we have been conditioned to, I love this saying that I heard in our society, we have become a drive-through society. We want things quick, we want things fast, we want them to work immediately. The body doesn't work that way. The body is very wise beyond anything I think we will ever elucidate. So it knows what to do, it knows when to do it, it knows what priority sequence it needs to be done. And so the energy we have in the body will be funneled into where the body decides and deems that it is necessary. So you may start using this patch because you want a specific issue dealt with, but that does not mean your body's going to go to that issue first. It may start doing some internal work that you cannot feel. It may make you more tired because you need that energy to go and focus on where it's working internally. So if you start using the patch because you've got a knee problem or you're going for knee surgery and 3 months later your knee's not fixed, but you're not wearing reading glasses, or your aches and pains in other parts of your body have gone away, or your skin's cleared up, that's because those areas took priority and your body knows best. So again, one needs to be patient, even if you don't see things, if you don't feel things. This is working. It is the mechanism of how it works. Everyone is different. Everyone comes to this planet with a different set of genetic instructions. We grow up in different environments. We're on the planet for a different number of years. We've got a different toxic burden, toxic load. So it is going to take time, and everyone is variable. So when you see your friend having changes right away, the first patch, the first week, the first 2 weeks, don't despair if that's not you. We are all different. And again, when I talked about feeling tired because some internal work may be happening, that actually does mean it's working, because just like a cell phone, which most people can relate to in our modern world, if we've got a full battery, a full charge, we can use everything that's going on with the phone. But if we've got 50%, or now we're low, less than 20%, we're going to start to shut down some apps because not everything is critical. We're going to go and use that energy for the critical things that need functioning on the phone. Our body is the same. The energy is going to go towards all of the critical things that are needing to take place. And any extra energy is going to be put towards healing. So it needs to conserve. You need to conserve that energy, which is why your body will then also tell you to go to sleep because it doesn't want you to expend that energy in other ways. It's focused on healing. And the last thing, in order to produce more energy to help with the healing, we need oxygen in the body. That is one of the steps in the production of energy. So practicing deep breathing will help bring more oxygen into the body. And we want to make sure we focus on belly breathing because that brings in the oxygen to where it can get absorbed into the blood. So now we have some real results and real change. You can see on the left-hand side with the hair growth from the left image to the middle to the right. That's only about a 6-month period of time. And you can see from the hairline that there's some actual hair growth in there, which is really remarkable. On the right-hand side, this one really, it surprises me every time because this was only 1 month 4 weeks of wearing these patches, this lady went from having the curved spine like she has on the left-hand side, which we term scoliosis, to it being much more upright and straight. And although she looks like she has a bunch of patches on there, the X39 is the one we're talking about, the regeneration one. The Ice Wave just deals with pain, so it doesn't help with any of that remodeling that's taken place. That is the X39 that did that. So again, here we have on the left-hand side, this lady said she tried everything to help with her vitiligo, which is just this areas of depigmentation in her skin, which we've termed vitiligo. You can see there's kind of a splotchy, visual on the left. And then on the right image, it's a nice uniform color on her back. And that, it doesn't give a time frame, but that is her, again, wearing the X39. On the right-hand side, although this may not look like it, this is a knee, and this is a scar from a knee replacement. And that's only 2 days from the left to the right. That's only 2 days of being on the patch. And that is extremely rapid wound healing. I can tell you that because I've worked in the OR for over 25 years and have seen lots of wounds and scars. And this is extremely fast to go from the left side to the right side. And here we have what's called a topography map. And so you don't have to know the details, but this is a 77-year-old woman and her brain, it's a brain scan. And on the left-hand side, she had not started using the X39 yet. And you can see there's a lot of red, and the red equals inflammation. And the dark blue is low activity. And the light blue and the green is what's called coherence. And I touched on that earlier. Again, that means the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain are talking to each other. So this first image where she has not been using the patch, she's got inflammation, low activity, and very little coherence in the brain. The second image, you can see that's only 3 weeks after wearing the X39. There's no more red, so no more inflammation. There's still low activity, but there's a little more light blue and green coming in. So some coherence is starting to increase. And on the right-hand side, that image is only 6 weeks after wearing the X39. Again, no red, no inflammation. There's now very little dark blue. So she's got more activity happening and a lot more coherence with the green and the light blue. So there's a lot more harmony going on and communication taking place within the brain and thus transmitted to the body.
All right, thank you, Rachel. So at this point, I would love to call on a couple of people that are going to share their testimonies today. And I'd love to start with Mary, if you can unmute yourself and share your powerful testimonial.
Hello. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Great.
Well, I am so happy I found LifeWave. I have always been an active and healthy person into athletics and everything. But I guess stress kind of got the better of me. The last few years have been crazy. I'm a single mom and caregiving for an elderly mom who's no longer with us, working, all of that stuff. And then the last 5 years happened. So since the fall of 2020, I have been spending a lot of money and a lot of effort trying to feel better. I had heart palpitations. I had inflammation all over my body. My feet were so swelled that I couldn't wear most of my shoes. I had to take a break walking up a flight of stairs. Yeah, just really, really low energy. And my brain was so foggy, I could hardly organize my day. And actually for all of 2024, I was off work with burnout, and I was barely functioning. On November 26th, I put on my first patch. I found some that I had set away in the cupboard. And they had been a gift from a friend, and it was like a light switch went off in my body, and my mind started to feel clearer almost instantly, and I felt like I was healing. And within 12 hours, I'd say probably 70% of the inflammation was gone out of my feet. and that blew me away. So then I had about 10 patches to use over the month of December, and it was like a roller coaster because I'd feel better and then I'd not, and then I'd not. So since I have been patching regularly since kind of mid-January, I made a list here of all the things that I've noticed. So I'm wearing all my normal shoes again, and the inflammation is gone out of my feet. My knees are cleared. I kind of wrecked them playing varsity volleyball. I couldn't squat and get up without discomfort, and now I can sit in a squat for an extended period of time and stand right up and no problems. My brain fog is clearing. I'm back to work. Not quite full time, but I work as a massage therapist and doing foot detox. So I'm back into my work as a therapist. And I can keep up with taking care of kids and all of that too. So that's amazing to me. I'm grateful every day. My mood is calm and level. I didn't realize I had lost the ability to be happy and over the past few years. And that was one of the first things that changed, actually. I noticed I was laughing and I was more engaged in life, and I had joy back in my life. And I hadn't even realized I had lost that. So I'm very grateful for that. My voice has cleared and increased in range for singing. I had a steady habit of coffee. I could not wake up without coffee. And then I'd crash later in the day. About my third day on patches, I didn't want coffee anymore. And I've only had it for a little treat a couple times since January. Sugar cravings went way down. I no longer got those sweet cravings, though I do indulge in a little bit of dark chocolate almost every day. um, my most recent is that my hair isn't falling out as much. I don't have to unclog the shower drain anymore. And when I brush it, I don't take a handful out. So my hair is definitely getting thicker, which is fun. And I have creative ideas popping into my head, which is really great. I haven't had that for a long time. So pictures, ideas, creative solutions to problems that I need solved, that I'm noticing I'm thinking clearer. And my back pain is gone. I had degeneration in my lower back and I have no more discomfort there. I think that's my list.
That's a great list.
Tried to keep it short.
Yeah, that's a great list, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing. And I've got a picture of your feet here. So if
Oh,
you
yes.
could,
Share that.
your footsies. So I get to share. Yeah, there we go. So maybe you could just walk us through. So how long you had these swollen feet, and then what was your experience with patching?
So almost all of 2024 and even before that, my feet were swelled like that. At first, it started kind of up and down, and I thought it was food allergies, but I couldn't find anything that really helped. And so I took that first picture, I think very end of October, or sorry, beginning of November. And then November 26th, I put my first patch on. The second, and I wasn't quite that clear right at first. That next picture, I think, is the end of December, or beginning of January, when my feet were just like cleared out completely of inflammation. And my legs too, like I spent a whole year of my legs feeling so heavy, like I couldn't jump, could hardly walk up the stairs. I just felt heavy and slow, like I was dragging along bricks with me. And my legs and feet are light and clear now.
That's amazing. That's so great. We are so happy for you, Mary.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining today, joining the call. I know your time is limited here, so I appreciate you popping on.
Yeah, no problem.
Take care. Okay, so while I'm sharing the screen, I just want to bring up, so this is my sponsor, Diane Hunt. This is the one that introduced Rachel and I to LifeWave about a year ago. And she was trying to get my attention for a couple of months before I really dove into what the patches were all about. And so her incredible story. So first off, she's a former cardiac surgical nurse, and she had been experiencing months of heart and lung issues following some kind of sickness back in 2020, 2021, 2020, I believe. And so she was, trying something natural. She didn't want to go kind of the conventional medical route, knowing what she knew about the conventional medical system. And so a friend of hers, I believe another nurse from Florida, introduced them to her. And so within 24 hours of being on the patch, she was no longer short of breath. Her heart palpitations went away. She was back exercising and doing intense HIIT training, I believe at Orange Theory, for those of you that are familiar with that, 2 weeks later. But within the first 24 hours, and that's what we call a one patch wonder. Now, that doesn't always happen, as Rachel was talking about, that everybody is different, but this was her experience. So then, following that, a month later, she had this dry eye that she had been suffering with for a while. Her dry eyes went away, the floaters in her eyes went away. A year and a half later, she no longer required her reading glasses. Her eyebrows, her eyelashes have grown in. Her spider veins have disappeared, the gray hair gone. She introduced the patches to her 80-year-old father, who was a huge skeptic, who's pictured with her there on the right. This picture is actually of both of them after her dad had won 3 out of the 4 games of racquetball against Diane. And this was, I think, back in the fall. Whereas 3 years ago, there was no way he could have done that. He had sciatic pain, numbness in his legs, limited mobility and strength, gout, plantar fasciitis. And it took him 4 months before he saw any results, but he was consistent with it and still continues to wear it. So I just wanted to share that. Usually Diane is on the call and able to share her powerful testimonial, but I just wanted to share that all with you. So maybe if anyone else, I'm going to stop sharing. And I know Andrea has popped on. If you can unmute Andrea, if you're able to share. Yeah, perfect.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andia, and I started using the patches a little over 5 months ago now, and I was introduced them through Rachel, who presented, and I really wanted them for my mom. My mom has polymyalgia. She had really, really just t so much pain in her legs. It was debilitating for her in the morning. And it was just really hard to see her like that because she runs her own shop and it was devastating to see her like that. So I needed to get these patches on my mom. And I honestly started wearing them just for vanity purposes because I didn't want my mom to be the only one wearing them. So I got them to make sure she was patched. And since that time, my mom's been wearing them the same amount of time as me. She is no longer has that pain in her legs and her polymyalgia, there is still some residual pain, but she went from 3 pills of prednisone and she's now down to a half a pill a day. So she's almost off that medication. And for me personally, I actually stopped drinking coffee on the first day I started the patches. Wasn't planned that way, it just happened that way. And I had no caffeine withdrawal. And then about 2, 3 weeks later, I had a brain fog lift that I didn't even know I had, and my energy levels have went up tremendously. I am not a person who typically sticks to working out. I'll go and it'll ebb and flow. I'm consistent with my walking, but I just won't like lift weights and do that strength training I'm supposed to be doing. And I've been doing Pilates for 6 days a week for over 3 months. Like I'm like a little puppy with just so much energy. And the other two big things that have happened is my eyesight has reversed 0.25 diopters in each eye. And I also no longer have period cramps. And I had very intense period cramps. I would take four Advil every 4 to 6 hours for 48 to 72 hours straight until they would leave me so I could just function my daily living. I was always told that it was from having a tilted uterus. And now that I know what I know through how the body works through quantum biology, that it was definitely my hormones were disrupted in some way. And my hormones are now very much in line with how my body is supposed to work. So those are the biggest things. And I also have been sleeping better than I have ever before. I thought I was sleeping good through doing a lot of the things I do and teach with light practices. but my sleep got even deeper. And I know this because I have an Aura ring that tests it. And I would also say I had a lot of hair fall, and my hair has actually never grown like really past about here. And I already need another haircut trim. So it's just growing and it's getting thicker. And yeah, I can't say enough great things about this patch. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing. Thanks, Andia. Rachel, maybe I'll pass it back to you. If you're able to share your own testimonial and then also about your mom's experience.
Okay, yes. So I'll start with my mom because that's why I started with the patches. But actually, I have to say that I'm noticing, I'm just looking at myself in the Zoom, and for myself, one of the things, and I know we've talked about this before, like hair growth. I literally just got my hair cut. I don't even know, 3 weeks ago, and I swear to God, it's already grown an inch. Like it was not this long. And I had noticed that before. My hair, I thought I got it cut a year ago because our other friend, Brittany, who's usually on the calls, she cuts my hair, and we looked at it. It was literally like 5 months. I thought it had been a year since I got my hair cut because it never grows fast. And it was like down to here. And it was only 5 months earlier. And she just cut it like 3 weeks ago, I think. Anyways, so I'll go to my mom, back to my mom. So my mom's got multiple medical issues. She's 83. Her biggest one was that she has heart failure and has trouble breathing. And we walk on a daily basis, and she normally would have to stop every 2 to 3 steps to catch her breath. And I understood that the body takes time to heal. We were going to use the patches for 9 months. I told her to be patient, not to expect anything. Then, of course, with her, within 2 weeks we were starting to walk, she was walking significantly faster, not having to stop. I don't even remember her stopping. And we'd be walking on an incline, and she was talking to me. That this was after 2 weeks of starting the patches. Then within 3 weeks, she actually had to have her thyroid medication lowered. And since then, so it's been now, I guess it's been eight months, maybe, varicose veins have, or not, spider veins have disappeared. Her varicose veins have diminished. She used to have a lot of skin issues with some medication she was taking. That has cleared up about 80% from her skin. She's got a lot more energy. Her hair is growing like wildfire, which used to be, to me, like her hair was really thinning. And you can see now she's got a full head of hair. And everyone that sees her that hasn't seen her for a few months just thinks she's an absolutely completely different person than when they had seen her before she started the patches. It's hard when you see someone every day, especially when it's a family member, to notice those kind of differences. But that has been for her. Myself, like I had shared earlier, I really am wearing these for prevention. And a lot of times, and I hear much of the time with people I speak to, well, I don't really have any problems. I'm very healthy. So why should I take or use the patches? Now, I share with them, and I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here, but basically, from what I have been learning, we can actually live up with up to 70% dysfunctional mitochondria in our cells and not exhibit any symptoms, not one. So you can think you're healthy, not have symptoms, and have 70% dysfunctional mitochondria in your cells. So we don't really want 70% dysfunction, right? Like we want to have all the function that we can use. So if you are on this planet and you're more than a child or a newborn, there's a likelihood there's been a decline. So these will benefit you. For me, I got sick in 2020. My brain capacity went to like half of what it was before. And I noticed I tried a bunch of different things, holistic things, and keto, and changing up my exercise routine and stuff. And nothing really seemed to stick or move too much. But it was about 9 or 10 weeks after starting the patches, I noticed much more mental clarity, my ability to articulate a lot faster and go from thoughts to actually being able to express myself better. And my memory came back, my ability to find words. So that was a really significant change for me. The other thing is my sleep has been, I think almost everybody's sleep, well, most people's sleep, not on the patches, is not great. Mine, I don't sleep through the night. I still don't. There's a few reasons for that, but my sleep was never deep. And anyone who has children knows, like, you wake up at the drop of a pin, and that continues on because your brain actually changes with pregnancy. But now I sleep through, my kids come home, I don't even hear them coming in the house. I panic when I wake up thinking they haven't come home yet. So I know that I'm in an extremely deep sleep. And another thing that so I was talking about my hair growth I've noticed a huge change in my hair growth. My nails are much stronger. And I have had this, you can't really see on the screen, but I have this little bump that just suddenly appeared a couple of years ago out of nowhere. It's bony. It wasn't like a little fat lipoma. I didn't want to go get it checked out. My mom kept insisting, but all they would do is either cut it out, biopsy it, send me for like more radiation x-ray. So I didn't want any of that. I would try natural approaches. Nothing actually worked. So it was the size of a big marble. It was very obvious. And now it's the size of a small pea. And the only thing that I have done different is use the patches, because didn't even continue with any of the other stuff like castor oil and stuff. I just stopped because it wasn't working. So that is a big change. Also, again, things we don't think of as health problems, but I used to have receding gums, obsessed with brushing my teeth, and I had braces many, many times also as an adult. And I was being monitored for potential for gum grafts. And now not only are my gums not receding anymore, but they're actually growing back. So that's another one. Also, since I was a teenager, I used to swim a lot. I've had athlete's foot, went into my toenails. I've tried everything for years, oral, topical, antifungals, nothing worked. And so that's been for 40 years. I've been just sitting with these nails and they're just unattractive, and I just live with it. Again, don't think of it as a problem, but now they are about 60% cleared up, which is astounding to me and really thrilling. I know it's a small thing, but it's a big deal to me. And every time I bring it up, someone else tells me about their feet problems. So I think feet are an issue with people. So those are my stories. I mean, a couple of this one lady who she got sick in 2020, and that whatever that was has lingered for years. And within 3 months of starting the patch, that is almost all cleared up. We know someone both who gets on the call regularly here, but he's not here today. He was injured by the experimental shots in 2021, the COVID shots, really injured severely. He is now not only back to normal, but better than before. And he is in his late 60s. So not a young buck. We know someone else who was injured by the COVID shots who is recovered from that, and by using the X39. And someone, for example, my mom's friend who's 85 started the patches to get rid of his headaches. That still lingered after 2 months, but after 2 months, he was no longer wearing his reading glasses. And another woman, and again, just to kind of show how this improves mental health, is she wanted to use the patches because of all over body pain. She didn't disclose to me any other issues, but after it was a month and a half, she then shared with me about how she had been depressed for 15 years in and out of hospital on a bunch of psychotropic drugs, just flat affect, no joy, no happiness, nothing. And now she wakes up feeling like she is on drugs, happy, like that kind of happiness, not that she's actually on drugs, but for no reason, and didn't realize just how bad it was. And, there's a few other stories that we have to do with that as well, but I could go on and on. I just wanted to share some of those.
That's great.
Yeah,
Cool.
can I just share a few things?
Of course. Yes. Thanks, Marcia.
Yeah, so I used to get my eyebrows plucked because they were so thin. And this eyebrow here used to be about 2/3 of the length. So now I'm so proud to say I don't pluck them anymore, get them done professionally, because I want thick eyebrows. So my eyebrows have grown in thicker. So that's one thing. My hair is a little bit thicker, and it's a little bit darker gray than it was 3 months ago. I've been on the patches almost 3 months. So whether my hair is going to go back to its original brown, I don't know, but it's darker gray. So we'll see. And I'm on these for a long time, just like Rachel, because I want age reversal.
Yes, Marcia, thank you for sharing. I know, and you started having those incredible external results relatively quickly.
Yeah, with the
So
eyebrows. Yeah.
yeah, with the eyebrows, yeah, but that's
Because when I
fantastic.
would get them professionally done, and every time I go, they'd say, "How come this eyebrow is much shorter in length than this one?" But now they're both the same length.
Yeah,
So,
awesome. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, we're going to open it up for questions in just a second. I know there's a couple questions in the chat. I'm just going to finish off with the formal part of the presentation, and that is talking about who is behind this miraculous patch. So I love sharing the heart of LifeWave, and that is the founder, the inventor of the product, David Schmidt. He's been an inventor his whole life. He is the CEO of this 20-year-old company. So he actually started out working for the US government. He was actually part of the Navy SEAL program, the survival program, where he was creating something that could keep the SEALs alert and mentally focused on these missions that lasted 36 hours. And that's where the first patch of LifeWave was actually born. This was his first patent. Then David found himself at Stanford University, putting those original energy enhancer patches on the US Olympic swim team. And they ended up having tremendous success. They set their personal records, but this was 20 years ago. Then in 2008, David realized that the future of medicine was in stem cells. And that's when he began to figure out a way that he could leverage the natural stem cells that are inside the human body. So after 10 years of research, $4.5 million later, in 2020, he had received a 20-year patent on the X39. And so this company has gone from this steady state $20 million company to closing out this past year in 2024 over 600 million. So with that, so that's a 3,000% growth rate. And so actually, I just read today, LifeWave Corporate, there was a Facebook post that said David has actually achieved 200 patents. So on this slide, we'll have to update it. So over 150 patents. Yeah, it's in fact 200 patents. And you can find out all about the patents of this X39 at the thisisitinfo.com. So this is a website that's got some great information, including information about the patent. And so for those of you that like to do your own research, there is a 22-page patent, but this one paragraph says it all. Elevates copper peptides, activates stem cells, improvements in strength, stamina, pain relief. So the patent is on the structure, right? That material in the patch where the patch reflects specific light frequencies of light back into the body. So there are clinical studies that show significant increase in the production of that copper peptide GHKCU. It's measured through blood samples, urine analysis, other lab analysis. And so what you have to know is that this is a novel product. Nobody else has this. And in order to get the patent, you have to prove that it actually works. So again, check out that website, thisisitinfo.com. There are great videos explaining the technology. Again, David Schmidt is interviewed. There's doctors being interviewed, really powerful testimonials. There's a whole section on different testimonials there, and there are videos that you can check out. And I know someone had a question about children. There's a whole section on children. So while there haven't been studies done on children and pregnant nursing mothers, definitely, children are using these patches. And there are powerful, powerful testimonials of what these children have been able to experience with patching. So it's important to remember that the benefits of this patch go far beyond the surface, because maybe that means for you, you're feeling a whole heck of a lot better about yourself because you have increased confidence, because you're finally getting to the root and your body is healing. Maybe it's returning to a job that you had to quit because of the pain you were in, like our friend Mary here. Maybe it's being able to not only return to an active lifestyle, but level up your physical game, adding, muscle gains, setting new goals, or maybe it's having some financial freedom, as this company is the #1 direct sales company in the world right now. So that just simply sharing with others, and how can you not share, right, with others? This can allow you to live a life with more ease. So whether it's just paying for your patches, whether it's covering an extra bill or living abundantly, this is all available to you. This is all possible with the power of the patch. So let me share with you how you can start. So LifeWave, the company, offers 3 simple enrollment options. These prices are in US dollars and for a month's worth of patches. So that's 30 patches that you get in a sleeve. So first, you can enroll as a retail customer paying retail price. We often see practitioners in the States set themselves up like this, offering this to their patients. However, if you'd like to benefit from wholesale pricing, who wouldn't, right? That $99 US, then you have two additional options. You can sign up as a preferred customer, commit to the monthly auto ship, or as a brand partner. And so we typically recommend that people sign up as a brand partner because not only do you unlock the wholesale pricing, but you can also secure a spot on the team. You can leverage the incredible momentum this company is experiencing by building a business without additional cost or overhead. It is just the cost of your patches to start this business and start sharing. So what we often see is that people begin to experience success with the products. They naturally share them with others. They end up building a business, sometimes even on a full-time basis. And so we have many people on our team, including Rachel and myself, that saw the opportunity right away and are building successful businesses. So signing up as a brand partner, there's actually no additional investment, there's no commitment, there's no pressure to share or build a business ever. All you're doing is securing your spot on the team, if ever you wanted to do that. And so there are several enrollment kits available to get you started. This is just to get you started. This is just the enrollment kits. And so the more that you purchase with these, the more cost savings there are, right? So that way you can start sharing them with friends and family in your life, your aging parents, loan them out to people as they wait for their order to come in. It's always great to have extra sleeves on hand. And then you're setting yourself up for success right out of the gate if you're wanting to participate in the business. So it's exciting not only where this company is going, but our team is ranked the #1 team in the whole company. It has incredible leadership, supports, training systems in place to grow your business. No prior experience or training in sales or network marketing required. Rachel and I included, we do not have any experience in network marketing, just a passion to help people with the freedom model. So the health freedom, financial freedom, time freedom. And you can rest assured that there is no competition. So, there's no company that comes close to offering what this product does. There's nothing else like it on the market. And so not only does it address people's health goals, but also their financial goals with a generous compensation plan. So I encourage you to reach out to the person who invited you on the call. They will be able to guide you through the ordering process, set you up for the best package and pricing available, walk you through the incredible opportunity at LifeWave. I would love to open it up for questions. And I think there were a couple of questions in the chat, so we can get to those. But I do want to thank you so much for coming out today, for learning about this incredible technology. I'm sure, your minds may be a little bit blown. They were for us at first too. But feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you might have. Rachel, okay, Rachel Detroit in the message. Yeah, I just wanted to get back to you. So can this be used with Estim? I'm not familiar with it. Is it some kind of energy device? If you're still on the call and want to elaborate on it.
It's an implantable one, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay.
Are you referring to that, Rachel?
I don't know if she's on still.
I'm right here.
Oh, great. Hi.
Oh, hey. Yeah,
Welcome.
I'm super interested in this. But I do, so I want to try it, then I can sell it because I feel like, so let me get to what eStim is. eStim it's called electrical stimulation, like neuromuscular stimulation. And it's something they use in physical therapy for muscle recovery. And so since I have MS and I it helps rebuild neuroplasticity to rebuild muscle connections. So it's essentially like electrical stimulation entering my body through these two pads. They'll put several pads on my body and I'm connected to an electrical device. And so I just want to know if that's safe. You guys might not know, and that's okay, but.
Well, so how I would answer that is, obviously there's no studies that have been done with those kind of things, but there's nothing entering the body. So with using the phototherapy patches, your body basically is enhancing and boosting its own mechanisms of how it works. So really, in effect, there's no contraindications to it. There's no interactions with anything because it's only using what your body already has.
And so the fact that so what I heard was this uses your own light in your body and like produces the healing. And so even though there's like electricity being pumped into my body, like intentionally,
so however your body would normally respond to that, it's going to adapt to that, right? Like you're never going to have any imbalances because the body, it's enhancing what it already has available to it and how it works. Does that make
cool.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Good info.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, it is the Rachel group. I'm just looking at the 3 Rachels on the call. I love it. Okay, so if anyone wants to unmute, I'm just going to go ahead and read some of the comments and the questions in there. But if anyone has a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
I do have a question, and
Yes,
that
hi,
is
Nancy.
related to cancer treatment. My brother has been treated for the past 2-3 years with immune therapy for Merkel cell carcinoma. And he seemed to almost be in remission, but it has come back, and he is now in a clinical trial. And he is very interested in the patch and wondering, I think, if could he use the patch and still continue the trial, or what should he do? Last night, he simply said to me, actually, it's my body, isn't it? And I can do what I want. And so I simply said, I don't know, I'm going to be on a Zoom call today, and I will try to ask the question if possible. If anybody has knowledge of results from the patch during any kind of medical trial?
So what I would say is I don't know of anything specifically speaking about any kind of trials. I think like once again, because it's not gone through the FDA approval pathway, deeming it like a medical, I mean, I think it is still considered a medical device, but it's not gone through sort of that rigorous testing and where it's being distributed as such. It's a wellness technology. What I have heard David Schmidt speak about in interviews is, for example, with cancer, because some people are concerned because of the P63 and P53 pathway that it might enhance tumor growth. It does not, because all of the studies, there are many studies done with GHKCU and cancer, right? There's 50 years of research. There's lots of studies already done with GHKCU and cancer, and it actually downgrades, like it downregulates cancer because it increases tumor suppressor genes, it reduces tumor promoter genes, a whole bunch of things. So there haven't been any studies specifically with the patches and cancer, but the patches increase GHKCU and the studies have been done with GHKCU. So that is something you can go and look at. Now, the only thing that is that has to be shared in essence, this is how David Schmidt explained it with concern about cancer and, for example, being on chemotherapy, is you have to check with your doctor. A lot of oncologists do not want their patients on any kind of antioxidants while using chemotherapy, because then they think that it's going to not allow the chemo to destroy the cancer.
Right.
And the X39 increases, for example, glutathione, and there's a bunch of other, it enhances the immune system, which, so it depends where your mind is at, what you want your body to do, right?
Right.
Me personally, I would be using them. whatever I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is, I heard him say in one of the interviews, and so he can't publicly share the name of this. So I was fortunate enough to ask him offline, but one of the patches, the peptide that it increases, is actually a peptide that is used therapeutically for cancer treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So he could not say it once again publicly, because again, that would be a medical claim, and he cannot do that with this because it's a wellness technology, it's a wellness tool. So it's really up to the individual, right? It's everyone has to make their own choices. And just like, for example, coming to these patches, people are making their own choices, maybe not to go with conventional therapy and look at something that is innovative,
Right.
improves health.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That's a very thorough answer, I think. And yeah, basically, he is right. It's my body, and I can do what I decide. Yes. So he has a lot of thinking that he's doing about this. Absolutely. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Laura. I see your hand up. You can unmute and ask your question.
Thank you so much for your time and expertise. I was wondering, how does the patch, the X39, speak to the specific 4,300 genes and not all of them?
So it through GHKCU. So it's the GHKCU that is resetting the 4,000 plus genes. Each one, I don't know. I've been looking through PubMed. I can't find all of the 4,000, but I mean, I haven't spent hours and hours and hours looking. I'm not, every once in a while I kind of go in there to look, but yeah, I can't give the exact details of what it does for each gene.
So those genes are the ones that just like the GHQ or whatever. Or what was it that you said? Sorry.
The copper peptide, that's okay.
The copper peptide, yeah.
Copper peptide. So the X39, the phototherapy increases our own GHKCU, that copper peptide. And that copper peptide is what resets the genes. Like that's naturally what that copper peptide does. But that copper peptide also declines with age, just like the stem cells. So it increases that copper peptide, which helps then with the resetting of those genes. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Right, I don't see any more hands up, and I'm just wanting to make sure we've captured all of the questions in the chat. I believe we have, and if we haven't, feel free. Oh, Rachel, yeah, go ahead. Rachel, Detroit.
Hey, so what I'm understanding this, so I keep hearing it's like a wellness patch. So it's being sold as essentially like how, right, like you can take, it's not a medical device. So this is what I'm understanding. And it shouldn't be sold as like, this is going to heal your X, Y, or Z. But it's sold as like, it's okay that I'm asking questions about selling. Is that right? Because it's like a sell.
Go for it. Yes, for sure.
Okay, cool. Because it's like, this is what I'm just understanding from being on this call for an hour. It's like, essentially what it does is like a big selling point, if you will, of this is like the reduction of inflammation in the body. And essentially, like everybody is experiencing, like whatever disease you have, the root of pretty much every disease is inflammation. And so this is a essentially non-invasive, you don't really have to do any work either. So it's like really quick, like you don't have to work out, you don't have to change what you eat. It's just like it's like a quick, I mean, it's not a quick fix because it takes time for you to experience the things, but essentially it's like what I heard was like, you don't know what you're going to get. So you could apply the patches, but like, I would apply them and saying like, okay, I want my walking to get better. But if my body thinks that something else needs to get better first, or that's what it will address, there's no way to tell what it's going to address. Is that right?
Yeah, I the way I look at it is helping to support your body do what your body knows how to do best, which is heal. So it's almost like we are giving this boost to our body with this innate ability that it already knows how to do. It's just unfortunate that, yes, due to inflammation, cellular dysfunction, due to, the environmental factors, due to our own toxic load in our body, due to whatever reason that we've been subjected to, this is going to help to support the body to heal. And so that's why, it is systemic. So the GHKCU copper peptide is just so powerful because it can go to work anywhere in the body and then soak in the stem cells, right? That prioritize where that healing and repair work need to be done. And so that's why some people have a different experience with it based on, their own environment, their own lifestyle. It's also, I think, super important as you're cutting up an onion, and I know that you're probably eating really, really healthy, that this is in addition to a healthy lifestyle. So while it's easy to throw on a patch, I know what Rachel and I would both agree that we want to ensure that we are, treating our bodies, having these really solid lifestyle habits, eating habits, exercise habits, stress management habits. And then this is a tool on top of that that is going to help, especially with everything in our environment that unfortunately we do not have a lot of control over, in terms of, the synthetic man-made radiation, the air, the water, the food, some of the things that we can't control as much. This is where I feel that this is really kind of the icing on the cake. I don't
Can
know,
you
Rachel.
explain the sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
The GHLCU peptide again? Or I'm not sure.
GHKCU? Yeah, so this is
yeah.
a GHKCU peptide is a naturally occurring peptide that we have in our bodies. And so so it's known as the holy grail of age reversal. Like this is a peptide that's found all over our body that helps with, like I talked about, how it has anti-inflammation properties, anti-cancer properties, anti-stress properties. And so this helps the body to heal. And it just so happens that one of the GHKCU properties that it helps to reset is that gene P63, which is also reactivating our dormant stem cells. So this is a very powerful copper peptide that's found all over our body. There are other copper peptides that are found in certain parts of our body, like the AHKCU, which we have another patch that increases that capability in our body. That copper peptide, for instance, is only found in our brain and our heart and our muscles and our bones, whereas GHKCU is found systemically all over the body. And so as we age, we lose the production, or we lose GHKCU. Same with our stem cells. And so this is increasing it. And that's why we were able to say that it's not anti-aging, but actually age reversal. Rachel, did you want to add more there? Rachel, Maurice?
Yeah. So just one of the things that I just wanted to make sure it was clear was that the patches aren't doing anything. Like we don't say that the patches are healing or the patches are doing anything. The patches are supporting what your body is already doing. So it's just important wording when you share it with people to make sure that there's a differentiation, that the patches aren't doing anything in terms of the healing. I just wanted to make note of that. But the other thing is the same thing that Beth said is it is important. My daughter was like, well, does this mean I can eat junk food? I'm like, that's not really how it works. Like you have to make sure that your lifestyle, you're leading a healthy lifestyle, because that's really how your body's going to express health. This is just a tool. But as well, with the copper peptide, so it's 3 amino acids. It's glycine, histidine, and lysine, plus the copper. So we have to make sure we have those substances in our body in order to make the copper peptide. So if we're missing any of those, then, there's a small percentage maybe of people who, if you're not taking those things into your body, you can't make that copper peptide. That's just not going to work, right? But I just wanted to also mention, I think you said you had MS, is that right? But yeah. So someone that I enrolled over in the UK, someone that she enrolled was someone who had MS. And again, this is just one story, right? And everyone's different in terms of the time frame and what happens. But she used to be an equestrian and an avid swimmer. And with her MS for 30 years, her activity consisted of sitting in a chair and having chronic pain. And obviously with that led to a lot of depression and mood changes. And within 9 weeks of wearing the X39 patches, she was starting to swim again. She was walking. I didn't say this part. This is a big part. She actually had neurological issues to the point where she could put her hand in a pot of boiling water and not feel it. So they had to retrofit her home. That's you. So after 9 weeks, she grabbed a potato from the microwave and threw it across the room because she was starting to feeling back the sensation, the hot sensation she felt from the potato. And yeah. So, and there was one other thing that I was wanting to mention. It might come back to me. It looked like you were going to say something.
I was being dramatic about putting my hand in boiling water, but I can put my right hand in pretty like hotter water than I can put my left hand in. And sometimes I will be like, well, you can't feel it anyways. And so, but not boiling water, but kind of not, yeah.
Oh, I know that the other thing I wanted to say that reminded me when you were asking the question is in sort of like time frame. We talk about, okay, minimum trials a month, 90 days, 3 months, and the recommendation a month per decade you're alive. And what we've been hearing, at least on the Zooms that we get on for people who have now been using the patches for 1, 2, 3 or more years, is the longer they stay on them, the more changes they see. So, although we say, okay, we're going to, you get full reactivation of your dormant stem cells for the month per decade that you're alive. Like the longer you wear them, just like we continue, if you drive a car, you continue to use the car, it's going to have more wear and tear on it the more you use it. So our body I don't like to reduce it to a machine, but I think you get the idea by this analogy. We need the maintenance and we need to continually repair. So we need the ability to do that. And this helps support that. And, another question I was asked, well, if we have, why can't we just go outside in the sun and get the same things from the sun? Well, if we lived the lifestyle and in the type of world that we did, that our ancestors lived in, we probably wouldn't need any of these tools. But we're living in a modern world where most of us spend most of our time indoors, which has a whole other, we could talk for days about that and the implications of that. But we're also now being bombarded, by what Beth was saying, these toxins in our food, in our water, all of the electromagnetic frequencies, which basically scramble all of the information that our body and our cells are receiving to function properly. So now they're confused. So our body needs support in this modern world in a way that we didn't before.
Thanks, Rachel. Well said. And Heidi, yes. So your question was about shipping. So paying in US. So if you're Canadian, actually, so LifeWave is in 84 countries. Each one of those countries has their own distribution center. So ours, I believe, is Brampton, so out of Toronto area. And so we don't pay duty. It is American prices, and then there's shipping and tax on top of that. But there is no duty. And just, for a regular shipment, typically, the standard they say is 5 to 7 business days. Typically, you're receiving it, within the business week. So I remember my first order, I put it in on a Saturday night, Saturday evening, and I received them by the Wednesday that week. So it's usually fairly quick. It's Canada Post. You're paying for some shipping. There's also a UPS. So depending on where you live in Canada, if you're remote, there's other maybe less options, but it's typically Canada Post or UPS. UPS, you're paying a little bit more, well, actually quite a bit more. I think it's double. And I wouldn't say that it's actually any quicker. So that's just been kind of from personal experience.
Some, at least out west, it's not double. It's only a few dollars more, but it also, Canada Post has been quicker. But some of the packages, you actually don't have a choice of Canada Post or UPS, like advanced and premium. They just do UPS.
Right.
At least out west.
Yeah. Yeah, so it depends. When we create your account, there'll be options for you to choose the shipping. Sometimes there's not options, but oftentimes there could be two options that you can choose from. I usually recommend the cheapest one, which is typically Canada Post, but then it's dependent on where you live.
Hey Beth, Byron,
Hi, Byron.
do you know how many people in the world is wearing this patch?
That's a great question. I don't.
So
Rachel
something you
was just
don't?
at the Utah headquarters, actually. So I will say that this company is really just on the cusp of taking off, like especially over the last couple of years. So as I said, with the 3,000% growth rate in revenue, I mean, that's only just an indication of how much this company is gaining this massive momentum. And I really, truly believe that we are, we're not even close. We're just getting started. Rachel, I don't know if you want to weigh in any more on that.
And yeah, no, sorry that I don't know if anyone can hear. Hopefully not. Like the doorbell rang, my dog's barking, but
Oh, no, it's all good.
um yeah, no, what I was going to say was that with the company, like now is the time to get in to this company, because the innovations that David has that are coming out, even with, for example, this new water machine, if anyone's heard about, I know we're talking about the patches, but he has ideas and things that are in the works. Free energy machine to power our own homes and not be dependent on anyone else. Sorry, I don't know
We
if
can't
they
hear anything, actually. It's all good.
someone
It's,
keeps knocking, but yeah,
oh,
anyway.
it's all
Um,
good.
yeah, the water machine, there are videos on YouTube explaining a little bit about it, but it's to enhance or it is in conjunction with using the patches and the changes that people see. It's basically light that is released from the water bonds. Like he's figured a way to how to infuse light into the water H2O bonds of the water so that when you drink it, that is released. So we're getting light from the outside with the patches, in a sense, from something on the outside that's reflected, but then also on the inside. And it's just, this is going to be a huge, I mean, the patches already are a huge game changer, but this, again, the ideas that he has coming up, this
Yeah,
company
super exciting.
getting started.
Yeah, agreed.
And also, do you know of anyone that the patch hasn't been any benefit to? Any experience that way?
That's a great question. I mean, I typically, in people, I guess that I have patched in my own life, it's typically seems to be that they haven't used it for long enough, right? And so, within a month, they're getting discouraged because they haven't seen any results yet. They haven't felt anything. Meanwhile, we know that there's likely internal healing that's going on, and you're not necessarily going to feel it. Just like Rachel was mentioning, that you don't feel if 70% of your mitochondria dysfunctions, you're not feeling that negative effects yet, right? And so it can take time. So with the stat that we typically say with the 97% effective rate, or people feeling 97% of people feel something shift or some, experience benefits in 90 days, 3 months. I just feel that it can take time for some people. And if they are ensuring, like, I think the most important thing is consistency and hydration. And you will likely see results as long as you are being consistent and hydrating. And it's an unknown, right, when you are going to feel a shift. But what's super exciting is that you never know. Like, so you wearing it, is going to be completely different than someone else wearing it. And so someone else that you're sharing with that you love in your life, and they're experiencing some powerful benefits by just wearing it, the first time they patch. And meanwhile, you haven't, experienced that yet because you've not been wearing it long enough. Um, yeah, I don't know, Rachel, if you wanted to add any further comments on that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm half heard because I've got construction going on that started out
Oh,
too.
of course.
Yeah, I would say honestly, the way I understand this, the only people that it could not work on is people who are missing glycine, histidine, lysine, and copper in the body. So you have to have those substances to make the copper peptide. Most of us do get it, but if one is low in that, then that could be a reason why you might not experience something. But the other thing is, again, water, one must be hydrated, and we are extremely dehydrated in this modern world because everything artificial light dehydrates our cells, everything, these Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all that stuff. If anyone wears any wearables, if there's anyone on this call that wears like AirPods or has Wi-Fi on in their house all the time, or is in front of a computer, who's got an Apple Watch, anything like that, that dehydrates our cells. So even by drinking water, that doesn't necessarily completely hydrate us, because the real hydration comes from our mitochondria that makes our own water. And so we are very dehydrated. So some people might not see the effects fast enough if they're living in a dehydrating environment. So that is one reason that people might say that they're not experiencing the effects. Really, a big one is there's so much going on in the body. It takes time, and we need to have patience. And 99.9% of people in our society do not have the patience, right? We've been conditioned to go to the medical system, to have a surgery to see an immediate effect, to take a drug to see an immediate effect. Whether that's a good or bad effect is, everyone might have their own opinions on that, but it's this instant result, and that's not the way that our body works. So it really is just patience. I mean, this one of the, I get the first name mixed up. I want to say John Harmon. I think he's one of the chiropractors that has written a couple of books on the peptide. And he was talking about, he had heart issues. He's in his 70s now. He had heart issues when he was younger, like a teenager that was diagnosed. And it took 14 to 15 months for those heart issues to get to the for everything in his body to get to working on those heart issues. So, if he had stopped at 7 months or 8 months, then he wouldn't have seen that, right? Everyone's got their different ideas. I absolutely know these patches work. It's working on the body, whether you feel it, see it, or not. There was one woman who had stage 3 kidney disease who was using the patches for 6 months, did not feel a thing, not one thing, but she'd had lab work done, and she's been followed because she's obviously on medications and she has kidney disease. After 6 months, her lab work showed she no longer had any kidney disease, but she didn't feel anything. Right? So, like I said during the presentation, we have 100,000 reactions at minimum going on in every single cell, every second of the day. We're not going to know everything. We have no clue what's going on in the body. We have like a glimpse and I mean, the medical system has a glimpse of what's going on and how the body works. I don't know if that was a satisfactory answer.
Yes, it was. And the reason why I asked these questions, of course, is that, not being a skeptic, your presentation was great. Sounds like a wonderful product. But over my lifetime, and you've already confirmed that I'm an older buck, so I'm 64. But I've tried lots of different things. I've been to these eye doctor specialists that read your eyes, and on all kinds of naturopaths. Took all kinds of different stuff, and I won't say I'm the most energized person in the world, but I'm in pretty good shape as far as I'm concerned. With regards to my age, I'm very active, but I've never done anything or tried anything like even the barley green rage that was on years ago. All that good stuff. Tried lots of stuff, but never seen what I would call a noticeable difference in my health or my energy or anything like that. So it's the reason why I ask these questions. And I'm somewhat skeptical. Of course, it's brand new, but yeah, it sounds great. Not saying I will or won't try it, but thank you for your time and your answers. It's well answered.
Thanks, Byron.
So I just wanted to add, so someone asked, it was Rachel, about the people in the medical background, just on the heels of what you just said, Byron. This company, it's probably the only company that I've ever looked into or that I've seen that has as many medical doctors involved, naturopaths, chiropractors, functional medicine doctors, like scientists, dentists, pharmacists. I mean, these are people that do the research, right? They're not just going to join because there's a bandwagon like to join. Like there's something that is undeniable to get this many highly educated people involved with medical backgrounds.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think of Dr. Jen O'Sullivan, who is a board certified doctor of naturopathy in the States. And so she has made a decision that she will only see patients in her practice that are patched because she just feels this is foundational. This is where people need to start. So that's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, can I just say something here? Dr. Stillman, isn't he a medical doctor?
Yes.
Yeah, so he medical doctor in the States, and I think if I got this correct, that all his patients are on the patch. Is that correct?
I think so. If not most of them, but I'm pretty sure because
Yeah.
I know he's got a pretty kind of, I want to say boutique kind of practice or concierge practice. It's a membership and you have to be on board with the way he practices.
Yeah, I think that's what he said. Or like the number of his patients are on that patch.
Well, he said because he's also a functional medicine doctor and he's been using phototherapy for quite a while, but he said it took him a year and a half of Renita sending him testimonial after testimonial after testimonial that he was like, okay, fine, I'll start to see this. I'll start to use this. And what he would see in his patients as far as changes taking place in 6 months, he started to see in 1 to 2 weeks in his patients. And part of that is it's really, really, really hard to get people to change their lifestyle. And that's probably also one of the reasons medical doctors don't even address it with patients, because patients just won't. Your average patient just won't do it.
Yeah, I just want to make that point.
Thanks, Marcia.
Any other questions? I know actually Rachel and I both have other engagements really shortly. If there are no other questions, so Rachel and I will be posting this to our respective YouTube channels, so you can definitely share this out with friends and family that may be open-minded and wanting to, make a decision for themselves as well. So they will likely be out on our YouTube channels a little bit later today. And so again, I encourage you to reach out to the person that invited you on the call, and they can answer more questions. They can set you up. And for any of you who are interested in becoming a brand partner and joining this incredible team, we hope to see you on the team soon. So I hope you have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.